5 men disappear on a snowy February night. 4 are found dead, and 1 is never seen again. What happened to the Yuba County 5? Is that another Dyatlov Pass mystery? Well, it was a cold February night in 1978 when a car carrying 5 men made its way up into the snow-covered mountains of California. After months of searching, 4 bodies would be found, one having starved to death after weeks inside a remote cabin. One of the men would never be seen again. Almost half a century later, investigators, relatives, and armchair detectives remain searching for answers. What happened to the Yuba County 5? On February 24, 1978, 5 men in their 20s and 30s, Bill Sterling, Jackie Hewitt, Ted Weiher, Jack Madruga, and Gary Mathias, set off to watch a college basketball game. The basketball game, at California State University in Chico, ended just before 10 p.m. on February 24th, a Friday night. The group of 5 climbed back into Jack Madruga's Mercury to drive to their homes in nearby Yuba City and Marysville. A worker at Bears Market, a small shop close to the university campus, said she saw them stop for snacks, telling the Sacramento Bee they seemed excited and happy. From Chico to their homes, it was a distance of around 78 kilometers at most. But instead of arriving home, police say they turned off the motorway and headed onto a mountain road. Then they vanished. It would be several hours before their mothers, some waking to find beds empty, others like Juanita Sterling, who the Post said had sat awake since 2 a.m., began to raise the alarm. Tom Hewitt, Jack Hewitt's brother, got a call from his mother, he told author Tony Wright, who penned a 2024 book about the case. She asked, "Have you seen your brother? Have you heard anything?" And I'm like, "No. Why?" he said. And I remember her saying, "They didn't come home from the game last night." He said relatives were left frustrated when they contacted police. They said they were all over 18, so you can't really report them missing until a certain time. A police report was filed with the Yuba County Sheriff's Department on Saturday night. The car was first spotted by a forestry worker on Saturday morning, according to the Sacramento Bee, but was reported on Tuesday. A missing person bulletin released by the Yuba County Sheriff's Office said it was found in the Plumas National Forest, just beyond the snow line. According to the Washington Post, it was sitting in a snowbank just off a dirt road, around 112 kilometers from Chico. The keys were gone, it had not run out of fuel, and maps were folded in the glove compartment. One man, Joseph Shones, told police he had driven the same road that night and gotten stuck around 45 minutes behind where the Mercury would later be found. While trying to free his car, according to the Washington Post, he said he suffered a heart attack and lay down in the back of his car. He reported seeing a group of people, flashlight beams, and car headlights from a pickup at different times over the following hours. But according to media reports at the time, his story changed several times in the weeks after he first came forward. "I was half-conscious, not lucid, hallucinating and in deep pain," he told the Los Angeles Times in March 1978. "Whether I half saw or half imagined the second vehicle, I just don't know." The search continued. It would not be until the snow thawed that the police began to get some answers. On June 4th, wrote UPI, a motorcyclist passed by a Forest Service trailer in a mountain campground and noticed a broken window. Inside was the body of Ted Weiher. According to the Washington Post, he was tucked beneath multiple blankets, his feet badly frostbitten. "His shoes were often missing when we found him," Deputy Sheriff Dennis Forcino told UPI. A police report said Weiher, who had been clean-shaven in February, had grown a full beard, which added to speculation he had survived for at least several weeks in the trailer. The trailer had matches and wood furniture, but no fire had been lit. Ration cans from a storage shed had been eaten, but a locker with more food had yet to be opened. A propane tank had also not been touched, Yuba County Police Officer Lance Ayers told the Washington Post. "All they had to do was turn that gas on," Officer Ayers said. and they'd have had gas to the trailer and heat. The remains of Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga were found on June 6th, around 18 kilometers from where the car was left and northeast of the trailer. Bill Sterling's father was the second person on the scene, according to UPI, when his son's body was found a few feet from the road. He was presented with his son's wallet, containing his social security number and photos of his twin sisters. His father found Jackie Hewitt's remains. A June 7th police report said he had located his son's watch, clothes, shoes, and wallet. A few days later, his skull was found less than 100 meters away. No trace of Gary Mathias has ever been found. Over the ensuing decades, the case has become the subject of multiple podcasts, books, and documentaries. The families believed the group's disabilities meant there was less interest in finding them, Jack Hewitt's sister-in-law said in a 2023 interview. After they disappeared, his father. Jack asked them to check those cabins, Claudia Hewitt said. One person told them they couldn't get to them, it was too dangerous, and someone else said they had recently been checked and there was no way they could make it that far. But Jack said to me on numerous occasions he wished he'd just gone up there himself because then his son would still be alive. After hearing this, you may think, is Gary Mathias of the Yuba 5 still alive? During the interview for Files of the Unexplained, Kathy shared that she believed the other men were afraid of Gary, stating, "I do know, God forgive me, Doc and the other guys were scared of Mathias. Gary was going to go to the game with them, and they didn't really want him to go, but they were too scared to say anything. And that came from my uncle." Kathy also claims that she had seen Gary within a year after the bodies were found at her mother's bar in Browns Valley. She believes she locked eyes with Gary before he took off running. According to Washington Post reporter Cynthia Gorney, Gary had experienced drug problems, a very checkered experience in the Army, and some violent and problematic outbursts. However, she also acknowledged he had been under medication successfully and had a very peaceful 2 years before the events of that night. Gorney went on to say in the documentary that the only explanation that made any sense to her was that Gary's psychosis had returned and that somehow he had persuaded these guys that this is the right thing to do. Tony Wright, the author of Things Aren't Right, The Disappearance of the Yuba County 5, disagrees with this summation of the events. His schizophrenia is easy to use as an excuse, Wright outlined in the documentary, but there's no proof of Gary ever pulling something like this before. Wright added, "If they can get in a car, drive to Chico without incident, attend a basketball game without incident, go to Bears Market convenience store without incident, how's Gary the problem? I don't buy it." In mid-October 2020, a Yuba County Sheriff's Department letter ruled that Gary Mathias is believed to be a victim of foul play. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, the letter was made public in October 2023 following a records request. The note added that this case remains open as a missing person homicide case, meaning the mystery surrounding Gary's fate remains unsolved. Do you think he's still alive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us. Remember to like and subscribe for more intriguing videos. See you next time.